Looking for a place that does it all? Maldini's by the River serves mouth-watering breakfasts, pasta, pizzas and more, plus amazing coffee and cocktails. They hit the spot every single time. You're planning a special event? Well, their private function room and versatile restaurant are the perfect place for any celebration. Good food, good friends, good times, Maldini's. G'day there and welcome back to Life in 5, the podcast where we sit down and talk to some of the biggest names in sport, entertainment and the media. I'm MG and today's guest, well, we go way back and his story is, I would say, nothing short of a miracle. His name's John McLean. He was a rising rugby league player when a tragic accident changed his life forever. But what followed was one of the most inspiring comeback stories you'll ever hear. Today on Life in 5, he'll share his 5 photos with us. I welcome my mate, my 2770 alumni, Johnny McLean. My man.
MG, up now. Oh, great to be here.
Look, when I first started this, you were one of the first people I thought of because we go way back so far. Our journey started in Mount Druitt together. You're always that year older than me, but you're always that bloke that we watch at athletics carnivals and football and say, look at him run, that blonde kid. John McLean. So thank you for being my guest today.
A privilege and a pleasure to spend time with you, buddy.
Was it hard? I mean, your life has, and for those that aren't quite aware of your journey that are watching this podcast and seeing you for the first or second time, you've had some sort of life. Was it hard to break that down in 5 photos?
It was very hard because it's been, when I look back, there's a lot of photos that go with all of those memories from a little kid, dreaming about playing footy to some of the photos we'll share. And so I kind of look at each of the moments that I've had and I'll try and capture a moment. So I'm looking forward to sharing 5 of those today.
Well, here we go. The first photo you've shown is exactly the bloke I was talking about. Your blonde hair was, and you've got great hair now, by the way. Geez, can I have some? Man. This photo you've picked first, obviously you as a young kid, you excelled in athletics. Tell us why this photo, Johnny, is so significant to you. This
I'm really connected to this photo because that's the house that we grew up in, 9 Penguin Place, Tregear. My father, when we were quite young, my older brother Mark and my sister Marion, Dad would say sport's a good way of meeting people and a good way of making friends. So Dad would take us to watch the Penrith Panthers, and that's where the dream started for me. Maybe one day I could pull on the jersey. But now I'm representing Nepean Little Athletics, and I was quite fast, as you mentioned, winning a state and a national championships at that age. So I guess I had the speed component, and I just thought if I can put it together, maybe that ultimate dream can come true of me running out on the first grade football field at Penrith Panthers.
Well, so when did you realise that you were pretty good at this game called rugby league, and you wanted to go a little bit further?
Well, I think I did okay because you would recall back in the day, SG Ball was under 16, so that was the group of the Penrith players of that age. So I played ball, I played flag, and then after flag, that's when I got graded. So
under 23s.
I guess at a younger age, I thought I'm on the right track. Hopefully, I can keep on doing it and working hard and training and eating the right things and doing all the stuff you need to do. So it started early, like about this age.
Well, myself and you and Warwick Smith, we used to carpool because we were all from Wayland, Warwick, Wayland, you, Tregear, and we used to carpool to under 23s, and we were on the bench for the first time. And how did your journey go for that first couple of years? Did you play any first grade?
No, I did not. So I can share that with you. In '85, I played every game. I had 6 run-ons for reserve grade. The coach back then was Cliff Cartwright, 23s. Harry Hackett was reserve grade.
Yes.
Tim Sheens, and I've just reconnected with Tim, which is fantastic after all these years. So I was on the way to going where I felt I needed to get to. The next year, a change of coach. Graham Murray, 23s. And there was just a clash between Muzz and I. And what I learned over time is, you've got to pay attention and respect people who are in a senior position. So I guess halfway through that season, kind of ended that piece and transitioned to go and play the rest of the season with St Mary Saints under Mickey Kelly, who played first grade for many years. And then I went on to play Group 6 for Warragamba. So that was my time with Penrith. I guess I got close, 6 run-on games. But there was a change.
Well, there was a change because when we look at the second photo that you bought today, you've always been fit. You've always been a fitness fanatic and you've always been fast. But what happened How did you start to partake in triathlons? What happened with that? And then tell us exactly what this second photo is all about.
Sure. So a good mate of mine, Colin Thomas, a Lethbridge Park boy, also, ball and flag.
Good team when weren't they a good club? The Ravens?
The Ravens.
The
correct.
Ravens, yeah. Foxes.
Warriors.
Whalen Warriors.
So that's a beautiful thing, just very quickly as a side note, that the little boy in me and I can see in you is alive and well. So it's nice to tap back to that.
Of course it is, man. That's all we've got.
From time to time. So Colin Thomas went on to be a physical trainer at Rudy Hill RSL, and he said, hey, it's a new sport. It's called triathlon, swim, bike, run. I'm going to beat you. So he goes, you want to have a crack in the PN? I said, sure. So, I got up the first one. He got up the second one. I was training for the third when this truck came along, 8-ton truck, riding my push bike training for the triathlon. This particular truck was about to overtake another truck, looked in the side view mirror, truck veered to the left, collided with a cyclist. You might see the damage to the driver's light and the fog light, which is embedded into the bull bar, both broken. That's the point of impact for me on the bike. So lots of damage to me, not so much to the truck, and that was the first big change.
Tell us what happened.
Well, for me, my earliest recollection was waking up briefly in Westmead Hospital, and then I kind of passed out. So it was just like something had changed dramatically. Then I remember getting transferred at the helipad to go from Westmead to North Shore. And that's part of me got excited because you can imagine a Tregear boy or
a helicopter.
A helicopter, what's going on here? So, and then I passed out again because of the morphine or peptidine, so I missed all of that. Then maybe another 7 days came out of the coma in North Shore Hospital in the spinal unit, and the nurse came in to say, Miss McLean, you've been involved in a serious accident. You've damaged your spinal cord. This is the spinal unit, and this is going to take some time. So that was very tough news to hear.
What age were you then?
I was 22. So I felt like I was at my prime. Back on the football briefly, I thought if I can go and play country and be good enough to come back again,
do the circle,
might enable me to get back to do that. I wanted to be a fireman. That's a career that I was looking to do. So all of a sudden, that's gone. Your identity, everything. Because as you mentioned, as a little kid, my identity was running fast, and if I got a ball,
I couldn't catch her.
I could potentially put it over a line, and everyone goes, "Great job." So that's gone. But the nice thing that happened for me was a lot of the guys took the time to come and visit me, which I was very appreciative of. Matt Goodwin comes to mind. You remember Matty.
No, bro.
And so many other people took the time to do that. But it's a sense of letting go because you're not going to be moving in that space anymore. Although I wanted to continue to move in that space, I couldn't. So 4 months in hospital, there's the wheelchair and away you go. So that was kind of the transition.
What was the diagnosis?
Diagnosis, paraplegic. Incomplete T12 thoracic vertebrae around about belly button height. And you've now got to make your way in the world. So I went to the rehab centre was full. I went to Governor Phillip, which is in Kingswood, which is a geriatric hospital. I lasted one night there. And then it was, Dad, get me out of here. Went back home to live with Mum and Dad. The bird was broken, needed to go back to the nest for Mum and Dad to help and support. Dad would take me to Ronnie Oxley's gym. And Ronnie took me around the stuff once and said, you're on your way, up to you. And that's when I thought, maybe I could do that triathlon that I was training for in a wheelchair, and that would be my mountain to climb at the time, and then I can let it go and get on with life. So that was the next change.
Well, that's where the third photo comes along, because you are one of the most determined men that I've ever met in my life, and watching you partake in your endeavours since the accident, it's almost like the accident was releasing the other side of John McLean, and a man who would go on to inspire millions. And just this was the start of it. When I heard that you were doing the Hawaiian triathlon, I went, how? How's he going to do this? Explain.
Beautiful. So this is nice to be able to go back because I can pinpoint every moment in time, as we all can if we ask the questions. Thank you. I'm watching Wild Water Sports in 1994, and you remember that's
that was the big thing, man. Who was the one who used to win it all the time? There was a bloke who used to was the
American guy, Mark Allen.
Mark Allen.
Yeah, and before Mark Allen, Dave Scott. So
Dave
both
Scott,
those guys won it six years in a row. Well, in 1994, two things happened. One was Greg Welsh. First non-American won it.
Yeah, Aussie boy.
He ran across the line. He jumped in the air, had his Aussie flag. And I went, wow, that's impressive. But also there was a guy in a wheelchair who was participating, an American guy, and he didn't finish. So each section has a cut-off time. It starts with a 3.8 kilometre swim. And I wasn't a swimmer as a kid, as you know, because I used to like to run. So you've got to get in and out of the water. Cut-off time 2:20. Then you've got 180 kilometres, 180 to do. you get off
180.
180. If you're not finished at 5:30, you cannot start the marathon. And then you've got until midnight to finish the marathon, which is a total of 17 hours. So here's me watching Wild Water Sports. Charles Stewart was the commentator. And then I'm looking at Welshie going, fellow Aussie, what a champion. And he had his flag and I went, gee, that's very cool. But when I saw the guy in the wheelchair didn't finish it, opportunity. So the question there is, do you have the courage to step up to that opportunity? And I was like, well, I played a bit of footy.
So that in the background was kind of the thing that was burning you. You were a competitive dude.
Well, I felt like I had something to do because if someone was to say, hey, John, how do you explain getting hit by an 8-ton truck on a push bike, going 110 kilometres an hour, breaking most of your bones, how did you survive? Now, if someone says, oh, because you were fit, that's a hard one to swallow because I heard of a guy riding a push bike hit by a car months later and died. So maybe I was meant to do something is kind of the way of thinking there. Maybe my shoulders were wide enough to take on the challenge. Maybe we need more inspirational stories to help lift up people, and more so today than ever before. So that's what I thought. But the biggest key was if I can go back and make all the cutoff times as a first wheelchair athlete in the world to do so, then I would see myself as being equal to others. That was my challenge to myself. So the reason that there's a big smile on that one, I'll just quickly give you the backstory. First year I went over there, did the swim comfortably. I missed the bike cut off by 40 minutes. They said you're disqualified, but I want you to go on. Finished in 14:52. Went back the next year, qualified again as the only wheelchair athlete as a demonstration event.
Stop it. The only one.
Only one at that time. And then I did the swim in a bit quicker. I think it was 1:05. I missed the bike cut off by 15 minutes. There's 180 kilometres, 15 minutes. Again, go on. 14:39. Went back the next year. Now there's an official category. So the first three who crossed the line at the half Ironman as part of the qualifier get to go to Kona as the first official category. So that's why I'm smiling. I won the category. I finished in 12:21. I then saw myself as being equal to others. But I got the medal, and that's what I was after. And I was also after playing footy for first grade. I didn't get that one, but I got that one. So that's why that picture is so important to me. So the Ironman story, to bring that full circle, I was asked to go back in 2002 to be inducted into the Ironman Hall of Fame. And I felt very uncomfortable about that because I wanted to sit down with Greg Welsh, who was there as part of the event because he's an icon in the sport. And I said to Greg, I said, mate, I've got to tell you, I feel very uncomfortable. In my eyes, this should go to you because you won the thing. It just took me 3 times to get it right. And he said, Johnny, it's your turn. Mine will come and you deserve it and take it. So that was so beautiful to have that moment in time and pay homage to Greg Welsh. This particular photo.
So we get on to the fourth photo, and this is you preparing for something that I can only imagine would be probably the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. You tell us, but it's you going and swimming the English Channel.
Well, here's a good
Because
question.
I remember you bulked up for this.
20 kilos.
20 kilos.
Well, how did this one come about? We spoke about the Ironman was watching, Wild Water Sports. Here I am at Penrith Pool. I met a guy called Ian Byrne. Ian Byrne was a solicitor in Penrith.
Ian Byrne? My
solicitor.
wife worked with him.
There you go. There's Megsy working with Ian.
Ian Burns.
And Ian Byrne had just come back from swimming the English Channel. It's in the local paper. And I went up to him and I said, mate, I just want to say congratulations. He said, congratulations to you for doing the Ironman. And he simply said, if I can do it, so can you. So let's frame that up. As a little kid, sorry if I'm going back to playing footy, but that was my thing with footy, right? So I dreamed about being an athlete, and now I find myself being sponsored by Nike, Holden, Qantas, Gatorade. There was this massive, but you have to do something in order to justify the sponsorship. So I thought, okay, Ian Burton said, if I can do it, so can you. And there's the challenge question. Do you have the courage to take on the challenge? Yes, let's try. What is the complete opposite of the Hawaiian Ironman? The English Channel. So for someone who doesn't swim or didn't swim at that stage, I thought, okay, what do I need? I need to build a team. Who's going to be in that team? Well, let's talk about Des Renford.
Des Renford.
Had swum the channel 19 times.
Wow.
So I started to build a team. I trained at the lakes in Penrith, which you know well. And on my first attempt, I got in. The conditions were quite rough. It kept on getting rougher after 9 hours of swimming.
So basically you're using all your torso.
Yeah, upper body just to pull myself through the water.
Oh, my goodness.
And I found out as well that the English Channel had not been swum by a wheelchair athlete, but I also found out that no athlete had done both the Hawaiian Ironman and the English Channel, and understandably because they're complete opposites. But I thought if my role is to inspire kids in wheelchairs around the world, let's try and get a documentary put together for this. Gatorade funded that documentary by a great friend of mine, David Knight, who was running the company. He became my support swimmer. So
Wow.
that's a great vehicle to say to kids in wheelchairs, I believe in you. If I can do the Ironman, you can do the Ironman. If I can swim the channel, you can swim the channel. So after my first attempt, I got pulled out of the water due to the conditions after 9 hours. 13 days later, I got a second opportunity.
Did you stay over there, or did you come back home? Or
Stayed there. Stayed there.
And were you training in their conditions? Would you jump in the channel at all to try and?
For the first week, nothing, because I was sore in the shoulders after 9 hours of just using them.
Wow.
And then we started some physiotherapy and some massage. So 13 days later, you get a second chance if you're lucky enough, because that's rare that happens. And I did get the chance, and here's me, just being reflective and contemplative, just thinking, wow, there's the White Cliffs of Dover in the background, and a boy from Tregear got a chance to swim the English Channel, and that's a special photo.
So tell me about the prep for this. I mean, what type of training did you have to do to prepare yourself for the English Channel? And a lot of upper weights, I imagine. And how did you put the weight on? Tell us why you got to put weight on for the English Channel.
Perfect. English Channel was first swum in 1875, Captain Matthew Webb. The water's very cold. So it's their summer, which is still cold for us, and you look at maybe 14, 15
degrees. Wow.
degrees. So it's cold for most people to jump in the water. I know people are doing plunge pools today, but they're not in there for, hour upon hour. So that was the challenge that was there. Having Des Rempert on side was amazing. I swam at Penrith Pool. I met the coach there, David Harvey. He wanted to come on board to help and support. Isn't that funny? Like, it's just you set the goal or the narrative or the focus, and then people come in and around to lift up and support.
It's amazing how many people are waiting to be inspired. It's amazing.
Yes. Everyone's got a story.
Of course they have.
And for me, it's like, well, okay, if other people have done it, then why can't I? So it's that piece around, if Mark Guy goes on to play football for Australia, then maybe I could do the same, or maybe I could play for Wales.
Especially from our district, especially from from Mount Druitt, who got a bum rap as we were growing up. 2770 was not the postcode you want to be coming from. We didn't give a fuck. We lived there.
Yes.
But from outside, the Druitt.
Yes.
It's now, look at us now.
Yeah, how good. So I think it's that piece around, with the English Channel. You've got to put on weight because the water's cold. Many people who try to swim the English Channel are unsuccessful when you go back on the history. That's because they go hypothermic. So
wow.
How do you prevent that? Well, you eat a lot of food. So a day's consumption. You ready? I'd wake up in the morning. I'd have my orange juice. I would have some toast. I'd go down and swim on a big day 10 kilometres around the lakes. So that would take me around about 3 hours. Come back home, have a dozen Weet-Bix, a litre of full cream milk, a can of fruit, 6 pieces of toast and honey. That's just breakfast. Then I'd go to the plaza because it's time for a rum raisin thick shake. That's fantastic. And then a couple of coffees, a couple of cakes. Then you get ready for lunch. Lunch is, pies, chips, all the high calorie.
What about 4,000, 5,000 cows?
Well, hold on. Then after until you need a few more chocolates and bits and pieces to get you by. Then you do a recovery swim at night. I would always have chicken, fish or steak, large rice, and finish off with a family block of chocolate. And the good news back then, up Narm, well, there was no family, so that whole block's going into me, and that's how you put it on. So,
and by the way, up Narm, quick side note. We went to Thailand with each other, our first ever trip away. We're both in under 23s, and we were the two youngest on tour. I was 17, you were 18. I had to get my mum and dad to sign a. Lucky your dad, Alex, was looking after me. But in Thailand, all they'd say was up Nam. We'd go, what's up Nam mean? Is it ping pong balls or something? And 40 years later, we're still calling each other up Nam.
Well, that's the only thing we took away from Thailand.
Well, I was scared shitless because remember someone, was it you who said that we believe there's drugs in your room and we're coming up, or
wasn't
someone else. Me and you were together and we had the phone call and we just watched that thing on the way over there, that movie where that bloke gets locked up for
trafficking.
Yeah. We're going, someone just said we've got drugs in our room. Fucking quick, sick. And it was someone playing a prank on us, like Magoo or something.
Yes.
It was so, yeah, wow. So that was all the way back then. Here we are.
So the English Channel, that's how you put on 20 kilos. I swam it on my second attempt, got across in 12 hours 55. It was a great team
12
effort.
hours.
12 hours 55.
13 hours.
Yep, 12 hours 55.
What goes through your mind in them 13 hours?
Well, let me do this. I'll shoot you the documentary and you can shoot it to anyone listening if they're interested. What goes through your mind? I believe I can do this. Everyone has a negative conversation because everyone does. It's the ability to be conscious of that or aware of that to then override it with a positive conversation. Example, my shoulders are screaming, I'm in pain, it's freezing, da-da-da. Then you flip that on its head going, I can do this. I'm going to inspire kids in wheelchairs. Keep on going.
Wow.
One more stroke, one more stroke. So that's the whole mindset around
Yeah.
what do you think about.
Yeah.
You can easily talk yourself out of anything. Oh, they're too big, or I'm not strong enough, or imposter syndrome.
Of course.
So for me, it's like
Very,
if I-
very, very strong thing, the brain, the mind, isn't it?
the body is a slave to the brain.
Yeah.
So back to this photo, so special to have had the opportunity for Gatorade to sponsor a documentary, and that's been shown globally to National Geo and Discovery. And I'm hoping there's little kids out there watching that going, oh, funny enough, I met a guy recently.
John McLean Foundation, is that how
Yes.
this come?
Yep, the John McLean Foundation started in 1998. A check from Nike as a sponsor to put to a good cause. We've converted that over to $3 million.
And tell everyone what you have done with that, with the kids.
Yeah, so here's a good example. A little boy called Jacob Ray, who I met down at the South Coast in Colborough, where Mum and Dad live. I first met Jacob going to a primary school talking about, prevention on spinal injuries after my accident. Jacob come up and he said, hey, you're sponsored by Nike, aren't you? I said, yeah. He goes, can you get me some stuff? it was the cutest thing ever, because I thought, do you know what? Like, yes.
I can.
Absolutely, and I will. So Jacob then decided to swim across Now River, and that was his English channel. That was his English channel.
How good.
And he said, would you be there for me? Oh, 100%.
Wow.
I'm going to be there for you, absolutely. And I was. And so it's those kinds of friendships and relationships that you build over time. Aryan Shah, he's another beautiful one, a boy with cerebral palsy. I was introduced to him in Penrith via his granddad. And Aryan got up out of his walking frame with cerebral palsy, and his dad was supporting him to cross the finish line when I did the triathlon. We'll touch on that photo shortly.
Wow.
So the foundation has helped many boys, many girls, in ordering them or enabling them to have a life and to chase their dreams. So I'm very proud of the work that's been done with the foundation.
You are totally inspiring, and I in more ways than one. You're just such a humble man for what you've done, and which brings us to our fifth and final photo. The world moves in mysterious ways, and this is kind of a big 360. Tell us all about this photo and what this means to Johnny McLean.
Yeah, this is probably the most powerful image that connects to me, and I'm getting goosebumps again right now looking at the image. So I was fortunate enough to meet a gentleman. His name's Ken Ware. He got me to start to think that I could do more than I currently was. That enabled me to go to a beach and take my first steps with existing paralysis, mainly right side, to then cover some distance. And he said to me when I first met, what do you want? And I said, I want to walk on the beach with my wife. He asked me what I want. That's my response. So we worked together, and then we had that moment in time, which then led to maybe I could go back and finish what I started.
Wow.
And that's a nice piece, isn't it? Like, imagine asking people, if you had the choice, would you go back and finish something that you always wanted to complete?
Well, yeah, you're the perfect example for it.
But I think it's relevant for others as well. So my dad said to me after my accident, son, how far can you go? And that's after we had a cry, and that's after we had a cuddle. And you remember my dad, he was a special man.
Was there lots of crying? Was it more from your parents or you? Was it?
Well, Dad was a hard man. He was a policeman in Scotland, in Glasgow, so that's hard.
And then, just for a bit of context, then was a masseuse and a strapper with the Panthers.
Yes.
And coming with us on the trip to Thailand. And
Yes. So Dad was, my dad. I was very grateful for him to be my dad. And when, after my accident, because I pushed myself as hard as I could, wanting to go back and play football, wanting to do all that. And you have to go down that path in order to find out for yourself that there's a different path in time. So that's when Dad and I had a cry, and it was so beautiful to happen, because I'd never seen my dad cry, but he was crying tears maybe his whole life, and I was crying tears maybe my life to that point. And we let go, and that's when he said, son, how far can you go? So that's what I live by today. All the stuff that's happened to me in my life is due to that one question from my dad. Back to this image, I thought maybe I could go back and finish the triathlon. Darren Piera, the guy who does my carbon fiber leg brace technology, he got in touch. We built a team, and the team was very impressive in terms of my idols, all the way from Steve Waugh, Brad Fittler, Phil Kearns, Iana Pittman, Kai Hurst, Craig Alexander. All these people came to help me get to that finish line. And the dream was to cross the line with my wife and son. So I gave my walking crutches to my buddy David Knight, who's just in the back there. And the last couple of steps, Amanda, Jack and I crossed the finish line. And it literally was full circle, because I finally got a chance to finish. But it was so much more important because I finished that with my wife and my son. Our boy Jack now is 14. And it's beautiful to say to him that we love you, we believe in you, and we want you to chase your dreams. We want to just be behind that to help you go forward.
With everything you've accomplished, you always, there's a subtext there of team. So always a team. You need a team. Amanda, how much of the team captain has she been for you?
Well, she's the boss. She's the chairperson. She runs basically everything. I just kind of get told what to do and where to go. And recently was in Vegas for a presentation to a cybersecurity company on the way to Austin, Texas in a couple of weeks. So she manages all of that stuff, looks after Jack, manages me, manages everyone, all of our family. She's the go-to person. She's absolutely unbelievable. I don't tell her that enough. So hopefully she'll get a chance to
She'll be watch
this.
Yep.
So we are completely opposite, but we kind of work well together.
Don't they say opposites attract? That's so true.
Very true.
Well, Johnny McLean, man, what a story. Your 5 photos were inspirational, but now the hard stuff. Now it's give me 5. Okay, this is all the guests have happened. They get stuck on this because it's hard to come up with 5 of these things. So first I'm going to ask you what your favourite band is of all time.
Oh, it would have been Chisel back in the day, but probably Coldplay now.
Ooh, 2 great bands. Either of them have your favourite song of all time?
Oh, Flame Trees is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's up there.
Pretty good. Yeah, I'll probably go with that.
What about when you're in the English Channel? You can't. I was dumbfounded that 13 hours you can swim without your legs.
Yeah.
And was there the support crew playing music so you could hear, or
Perfect, there was. So my sister was on board with a big, those massive big
boombox?
boom boxes. But could I hear the boom box when
No.
I was swimming with a cap and plugs in? No.
No.
So she thought that I was listening to the music and she was just like drowning out the whole people on the boat.
But you knew they were there because
Yeah, it was nice to know that hopefully they're enjoying the music, which I can't hear.
and drinking cans and going, "You go, Johnny.
Yeah.
Keep going, mate.
Going great, fantastic. They're all rugged up and nice and warm, and here's me.
You got beanies and drinking scotch, and you're going 4 hours. What the fuck is 9 to go? Oh, you freak! Favorite TV series of all time?
No other show other than Seinfeld.
Oh, very, very popular vote from all of the people that I've spoken to on this show. How good was it?
Well, you think about it, it's still relevant today. And
Well, I still watch it today.
Yeah.
On Foxtel, they just have like a whole day of it.
Yep.
I can just sit there and I know what's going to happen, but I still laugh.
Yes. Well, Amanda and Jack and Amanda and I had seen Jerry when he came over here. Then last time, Amanda, Jack probably really didn't get it, wondering what's he doing with all these people.
What's his stage show like? I've never seen it.
He's absolutely brilliant. I mean, there's a very fine line, and again, a Tregear boy. I got a chance to meet Robin Williams, who Dead Poet Society.
Wow.
And there's a fine line between insanity and brilliance. Not saying Jerry Seinfeld is insane,
No.
but he is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Like just whatever's going on at any time, he can adjust very quickly. So what a privilege to have the opportunity to listen to him live. Best mate John Young.
Yep.
We're massive,
Youngie.
Yeah, Youngie, massive fans of Seinfeld because back then and still today, you can sit down and have a laugh.
And I was speaking to someone recently on the podcast, and they said about TV series back in the day that everything now you can watch on demand and you can pause it. But if you watch the show, say like the Brady Bunch, it'd be on at 4:30 every day, and if you missed it, you missed it. You couldn't record it.
Yep.
And at school the next day, you go, "Did you see that in Brady Bunch?" No, I was at footy training. Well, I sucked in. You missed Marshall getting hit with the ball. But that was, I mean, that's
True, yeah.
But Seinfeld, I love Seinfeld. No, that's my favourite of all time as well. Okay. For all the good you've done, now you're a bad man. You've stolen someone's luggage in Hawaii when you were over there for the triathlon. You're in jail forever.
Took the drugs in Thailand.
Up numb. What is your death row meal?
Okay. Death row meal. Let me take a step back.
Yep.
Doing sport for as long as I have, I've always liked to look after myself, as have you, and therefore, do I eat to train or train to eat? So I enjoy my food. So it's going to be, if it's my last one, I'm going to town.
You're not trained anymore.
I'm going to town. So I'd probably go down to Woolloomooloo. Kingsley's the place that I used to go to. So you'd start off with Alaskan king crab, and you go the biggest versions of the crab.
You've thought
legs.
about this. I love it.
And then, so that's the entree. Then I'd move into Maine. Well, Maine would be a steak.
Medium well?
medium rare. Medium rare.
Medium rare. Do you have a sauce with it, or?
No, you don't want to spoil the steak,
Okay.
depending on where the steak's from. Medium rare steak. And then you go everything. So you go the potatoes, you go the broccoli, you go the beans. You're giving it plenty. What's after that? Hang on, you're probably having a glass of red too.
Of course you are. Or maybe if it's death row, you're having 4 of them.
You're having plenty. So as if you're going to wake up with a hangover the next day, you're not going to wake up, let alone. So desserts, our family favourite has always been apple pie with vanilla ice cream.
Oh. Johnny McLean, you are an absolute legend.
Just quickly, do question 4 as well.
Oh, I didn't do 4. Fuck.
We skipped from 3 to 5.
Okay. Okay. Favorite sport? I mean, you've played, league. Obviously, you've done everything, running and swimming. What sport do you actually love to sit down and watch for hours on hours?
Well, given that I was quite quick, for me, Olympic Games, 100 metres.
How good is it?
If there was
what about
one-
the young bloke at the moment? Meow Meow.
Yeah.
Not Meow Meow. That was the table tennis player. What's his name, the young bloke?
Woof woof.
Gout.
Gout.
On fire.
You get gout?
You got to keep away from what is it, beer
And prawns.
and tomato juice and prawns. So Gout's on fire, on fire. I think he's just broken
Yeah.
the 200-metre record.
Yep.
And how special to have him in this
Unbelievable. He is a freak. And they're comparing him now to Usain Bolt. Like, who would ever thought an Aussie
Yes.
would be compared to Usain Bolt?
Yeah, well, it's an honour for us to have him and his family, and athletics is in good hands with Gout.
As per usual, you didn't let anyone down with your riveting stories, but on conclusion, anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I would like to share with the people, if they're interested, that asked that question, how far can you go? So I want to share that with the listeners, the viewers. How far can you go? What can that look like? The book, How Far Can You Go, is a memory to my late father, who you knew well. So it's a nice legacy to pass on to others. And
where can our watchers or this podcast or listeners get that book?
I'd go to the website, johnmclean.com.au, and that's how they can get access to that. Mate, it's been a privilege. It's always great to see you, and thanks for the opportunity.
Johnny McLean, love you lots, my man. This is Your Life in 5, and I know you like your vino. As a special little treat on behalf of Lily Pilly Wines, a little Cab Sav and a bit of a Shiraz.
Thank you, brother. Thanks to Lily Pilly Wines, and thanks for having us.